Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
Excuse me, I have to take out my lozenge. Welcome to Victory Monday. Not great timing there. Victory Monday here for the Buccaneers. Wow, what a performance. And we're going to talk about why we saw such an inspired performance yesterday. I think there's a lot of underlying causes that we're going to get to. All of them bode well for the future of this Buccaneers franchise. So we're going to hit a lot of different facets of this game against the Packers. Of course, nice for the Falcons to lose. Trevor Lawrence is in concussion protocol as we get set to take on the Jaguars team that suddenly looks very, very beatable. And boy, does this Buccaneers outlook look way different than the team we saw a few weeks ago. Can't wait to get into all of it with you guys. I'll say good morning to you, Nick Geddes from On3 Sports. How are you?
I am fantastic. We're getting used to these Victory Mondays now. We've had 3 Victory Mondays in a row. Yes. First and foremost, hope you had a nice trip on your roller coaster of a cruise.
We'll get to that. We'll get to.
I know you probably have some stories, but it's good to see you again.
I'm still rocking on the high seas here from this the cruise to hell or nowhere.
Right.
Yeah. What a disaster. And we made the best of it. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, we cruised into a freaking hurricane, a perfect storm. Why the hell they ever left the port, I have no idea. But yeah, we'll get into that. I don't think we want to talk about the Buccaneers first, but we'll definitely get into some of that for sure.
And I will say about yesterday's game, I think we've seen a lot of games this year where we're just like, man, this isn't fun. Like they're playing like crap. Even when they win games, we're coming on here and being like, okay, they won the game, but the performance didn't match up to it.
Right.
Yesterday was fun. Yeah. That was by far their best performance of the season. That's their best win of the season. And like you said, the outlook of this team all of a sudden has changed so much. And that's how quick things change in the NFL.
Yeah, and we'll get right into it because, I think there's a lot of underlying reasons why this team played the way it did. Its most complete game. And I think a lot of it has to do with a change in attitude of this football team. And we've been talking about how really poor Baker has been the last few weeks because you turn on the tape and guys are open and he's just not pulling the trigger. And and Dave Canales, I'm sure, sat down with him this week and said, dude, let it rip. We got nothing to lose, man. We're 6-7. Let's go. Let it rip. Guys are open. You got a great arm. You're a gunslinger. Let's make this thing happen. And that's exactly what he did. He was a completely different animal. And I'll say this, I thought the offensive line gave him some nice alleys to throw through, gave him a nice pocket to work with. They got him out on the edges a lot, so there were more. I don't even think he had a batted down pass yesterday. Maybe 2 or the one in close proximity, and the sack fumble. But the thing about Baker is he does not brood. He makes a bad play. He's like, F it, let's go. And in fact, it gives him a little bit more resolve, I think, to be a gunslinger. And that's the mentality that this team took on yesterday. It was also defensively. I mean, you're seeing it 4th down late in the game, up 2 scores, and Todd Bowles is sending a blitz. Well, what happened to the soft ass, send 3 guys, give them all day to sit back, watch C.J. Stroud go down the field team? Huh? No, none of that crap. Let's get after their ass. They score 4th down late in the game. 5 minutes to go. Todd Bowles is going for it on 4th and 2. Salt the game away. Hell yes. Hell yes. This is how you got to play. Have some freaking balls. Let's go. And Baker played with some onions yesterday. Some of those stick throws, he didn't give a rat's ass. Let's go. Let's just throw. I'm throwing the damn ball. I got good receivers who can catch the ball in traffic. I got a good arm. I'm accurate. I'm stepping into a throw, and I'm going to let it rip, and I don't give a crap what happens. That's the way you got to play in this league, man. That's the way you got to play in this league. And I don't think it's any coincidence that this 3-game win streak has coincided with Devin White sitting his ass on the bench for 3 weeks. And what he did yesterday was absolutely inexcusable, but completely on brand for the most selfish guy on this team. Practices Thursday and Friday, and when told we're going to go with a guy who's actually playing well, he says, I can't go. I mean, shocking? No. Completely on brand for this guy. And putting him in the lineup constantly when this has been his attitude since the offseason is what's held back this team. That's a culture killer. And when his ass has been on the bench, this team balls out. Defensively, are they perfect? Hell no. But did you see the physicality they played with yesterday? Did you see with the attitude that they played with defensively yesterday? And they were blitzing in situations where they don't normally blitz. And Todd Bowles was uber aggressive. Dave Canales was uber aggressive. Baker Mayfield was uber aggressive. And that's the way you got to play. And that's the way they've been playing for 3 weeks now. And I love it. And it's weird because, Bowles will not put until he absolutely has to, he won't put his foot down on the gas pedal. And now I just think he finally realized this is the way you got to do it. I'm going to get my ass fired if I don't. So what's the difference? Let's go. And I'm going to sit Devin White on the bench. Finally, for God's sakes. And let the players who want to play and can play. KJ Britt was smashing people. Did you see that sack he had? He destroyed the running back and just swallowed up Jordan Love.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to like KJ Britt, like, is KJ Britt playing on a level at like Levante is? No, but I don't need him to.
No.
Like, he'll make a splash play or two a game, but what KJ Britt is doing that Devin White did not do is he's playing the position.
Yes.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah,
he's
taking his responsibility.
Right. He's getting off blocks, by the way, something that Devin just couldn't do. He's in the right kind of area on the field where he needs to be almost all the time, and he's a sure tackler. He's a much more sure tackler than Devin is, and he's just focused on making the play that's in front of him, whereas Devin goes off script and wants to make hero ball. And you want to know why Devin's playing hero ball? It's because he wants to get paid.
Exactly.
And his path to getting paid is the sacks, the picks, the fumbles, all these crazy things. And it's almost like he's trying too hard or something, and it ain't happening for him. And KJ, I think it's completely different. He's in there for the first time. He knows the system. He's been in it for 3 years. And listen, he's a guy that I never saw much of in the preseason. Like, I was just like, okay, J.J. Russell looks better than him. This year, I thought Dennis was going to be in front of him. But this is the crazy thing about football. You get him out on the field, you never know what you're going to look like in the game. And KJ Britt now is making a case, if he continues to play this way, the Bucs might not have to fill their linebacker need next year with a lot of capital. It might already be on the roster. But for this year in particular, Devin White shouldn't touch the field again. No. I take the C off of him. Just forget about it. There's no reason for him to play another down in Tampa Bay. What he did yesterday, for me, is unforgivable, especially for a team that's in a playoff push leading your division, and that's how selfish and whiny you're going to be about the whole situation.
Yeah, I think to even leave the C on his chest, to leave him on this team, is a mistake. I think it sends the same old message that Todd Bowles has sent to his team most of this year, and that's that I'm going to play favorites, and it's okay. And we're not going to hold anybody accountable. Hold him accountable for what he did and get him the hell out of here. Get him the hell out of here. The team is clearly better without him. You don't need him on. You don't need him as a distraction. Get him out of here. Let him go. Release him today. Today. Release Devin White. And I don't want to go down this rabbit hole because there's so many other people that need to get their kudos today. But it's part of it. You can't tell me it's not. You can't tell me these guys in this locker room are not like, just trust me. They've been watching the tape. They know exactly what's going on. They know it more than anybody. We've been talking about it for 2 years. Okay. They know it. And when you remove that, it's like, okay, now let's go play. Let's go play ball. And I even saw D. Delaney get up Jamel Dean's ass yesterday because on that, once again, he busted the same coverage he's been busting forever on that little cover 3 wheel route that the Bucs have been burned on so many times. And he's got to stay with his guy. You got to pass him off and stay with your guy. And he screwed it up again. And Delaney went after him. Thank God. Somebody has to. And then, of course, Jamel Dean drops another pick late in the game. I mean, that dude, he's the nicest guy in the world. You hate to say anything bad about him, but my God, dude, when they throw you the ball, when they throw it right to you, just catch it. Just catch. You don't have to be a superstar. Just catch the ball and play your freaking position. Will you please? But we're finally seeing some accountability. And Chris Godwin, by the way, finally, that was a Chris Godwin game. Get him 3 or 4 screens, let him run through some tackles in some key positions, execute the play. I thought the offensive line, for the most part, played really, really well. Hainsey had a tough day in some spots. But for the most part, I thought the offensive line played really, really well. And Rachaad White, I said before the season, I predicted 13 to 1,500 yards from scrimmage from him. And after a slow start, he's going to get it. He's going to get it. He has been tremendous and really finding his stride.
Yeah, he's got the most yards from scrimmage in the entire league since week 8. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's including Christian McCaffrey, who might win the MVP. That's everybody. So
wow,
this
I did not know that.
This turnaround for Rachaad White. I mean, I was so out on Rachaad White because I thought special, and I just looked at him and I'm like, yeah, I don't really see it. But I think the run game has evolved a little bit. It's not as much. Either they're blocking it better, or it looks like they're doing just enough differently in the play calls to get him out open a little bit.
Well, Aaron Stinney has made a tremendous difference.
Aaron Stinney absolutely has made a difference, but just get this guy the ball in the open field, man. I mean, you see the moves that he makes out there. He's got guys on skates. He just has great vision out in open space. It's not like he's moving at 100 miles per hour. It's a very kind of patient approach that he has to it.
Yeah.
And he's just making such a big difference. Chris Godwin, like you said, they put him back in the slot yesterday.
Yes.
Shocker.
Yes.
Chris Godwin made his career out of playing in the slot and being one of the best slot receivers in football. And all of a sudden, they were able to use the middle of the field with Chris, which is something they haven't been able to do all season long.
Well, Baker wouldn't pull the trigger.
And
Guys
Baker
have
wasn't
been
pulling
open,
the
man.
trigger.
Yeah. We've
Correct.
been talking about this for weeks and weeks, and the difference yesterday, everybody's like, wow, he threw the ball. He finally threw the ball on time. Get the damn ball out of your hand.
And Baker still had issues like some of the sacks he took could have been avoided if he doesn't hold on to it too long, like the fumble that resulted in a touchdown early for Green Bay. That was a killer. But like you said, Baker, and we complimented him on this last week, even when things aren't going well for him, his ability to compartmentalize and just move on to the next down
Get
and
right back
continue
up.
to sling it. I mean, Jameis did the same thing, but Jameis would just still keep throwing, crazy passes,
picks,
right?
Yeah.
Baker yesterday, that was the best game I think he's probably ever played, clearly in a Bucs uniform. It probably is the best game he's ever played in his career in the NFL. And by the way, to put it in perspective, this was one of the best games by any quarterback all season long, okay? And I'm sure you saw this stat. Everybody's kind of joined in seeing it, but I'm going to say it here because it is really insane. Third quarterback in NFL history with 375-plus passing yards, 4+ touchdowns, and a perfect 158.3 passer rating. He joined Nick Foles in 2013 and Ken O'Brien
The great Ken O'Brien.
Back in 1986. Baker Mayfield has joined that list. This is one of the
I
best
watched that.
performances.
I think that game
by a
was against the
quarterback all season.
Dolphins. Was that game against the Dolphins? I think it might have been a Ken O'Brien against the Dolphins.
At Seattle. At Seattle.
Yeah, I saw Ken O'Brien carve up the Dolphins many times. Yeah, 22 of 28. Talk about efficient. 381 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 158.3 rating. The only mistake he makes is just holding that ball a skosh too long, and that turns into a touchdown. Again, it wasn't perfect, but 34-20 on the road at Green Bay, a game that we all had kind of said, they're not winning. And, Jordan Love, it's really started to play well. The Packers were playing well. They got Aaron Jones back. No Jair Alexander. I get that. That probably hurt him.
Well, the Packers were banged up in this one, but the Bucs were too. There's no excuse.
Yep.
And the Bucs have a lot of players who were banged up and have multiple injuries, like Vita Vea, like Chris Godwin. But those guys are gamers, and they went out there and played because they knew there was a lot on the line. Whereas I look at Green Bay, and Jair Alexander's probably your best defensive player, and you don't want to gut it through and play, and that's been going on most of the season. So there's a difference there. And part of this, let's be honest, part of this is the Packers' defense is horrendous.
Not great. It's not.
And Joe Barry is getting a lot of heat today, but you still got to make the throws. I mean, they were playing zone most of the game. Baker abused it. I mean, another stat I found yesterday for the PFF lovers out there, the Packers coverage grade was 29.3. That's the lowest of any any team in a single game in the last 5 seasons. That's how bad the Packers were yesterday from a coverage standpoint. But kudos Canales for realizing that, being aggressive, and Baker getting the ball out.
Yes. I thought Canales called a terrific game yesterday. Had some friends that are like, what do you think about his game plan? I said, his game plan was good. It's better. I'll go to one play call that was a great adjustment. Remember last week on the 4th and 2, we get all 11 guys, even the wide receivers in about a 15-yard space, and we're going to toss sweep it, freaking disaster. This time, at least he goes trips left, spreads them out a little bit, so you don't have 11 defensive players within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. And Rachaad White just finds a little crease and gets it through and salts the game away. That was a big play and a nice adjustment by Dave Canales there. In it, looking at something that's not working. I thought the adjustment to get the ball to the outside on screen plays was a good adjustment. They weren't just running up the middle for the sake of running up the middle. I kind of felt like Bowles took the handcuffs off a little bit. Is that fair? And let Canales, because they first down passing was dramatically different and very, very effective. They got to throw the ball on first down, and they were very effective, especially throwing the ball up the seams. You mentioned the middle of the field. And Matt Ryan talked about this a lot because he could, he obviously as a former MVP quarterback understands those throwing lanes. And I thought Baker executed it to perfection. Now, I think we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here with Facebook user. Does he earn a long-term contract next year after yesterday? Again, let's slow the roll a little bit. He's been really bad the last 3 weeks. I mean,
he was trending down. That's what I said on Friday, is that Baker was trending down. There were some more turnover-worthy type plays out of him and some less accuracy, and it kind of was in line with Baker's career. But then he shows you yesterday that his peak is as good as anybody in the league right now. I mean, that's a true thing. There's not a talent issue with Baker. Listen, he's got 3 more games to prove it.
Right.
Long term, I don't know if he's ever going to get the long term deal, but a short term deal, I think absolutely. I said this on Friday, especially because the Bucs are winning, and at this point, it's like you got to go for the division, and hell, you're in play for the wild card at this point because the NFC is such a disaster outside of like the top 3 or 4 teams, right? You might get 2 teams in the NFC South from the NFC South potentially. So they got to go for it. And if he takes his team to the playoffs, then Baker Mayfield's going to be your quarterback next year. And I've got no problem with that. And I think he's honestly earned a nice bump in his pay. Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
But I think he's earned the right. And I got to give you a shout out here and Luke Easterling and some of these other people who said it in the offseason and were laughed at a little bit. Baker, you said that the Baker Mayfield was going to have a better year this season than Tom Brady did last year.
I did.
For the Bucs. And here we sit. Baker Mayfield, 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. The Bucs have 7 wins with 3 to go. Brady last year, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and 8 wins. So Baker, objectively, is having a better year than Tom Brady did last year.
And I also said this team would score more than 18 points a game, which they scored last year. And where are we at? I think we're close to 20 points a game. It's not dramatic, but it's much better. It's much better than it was last year, and it's getting a lot better. Here's interesting as we go through quarterback ratings, okay, on the season. Brock Purdy, Tua, Dak, your top 3 MVP candidates right there. And I'll just suggest to you that all 3 of those teams will throw a heck of a lot better offensive weapons and lines at you than the Buccaneers will by a large stretch. And then it's Kirk Cousins, who hasn't played in a while. C.J. Stroud, who's going to be the rookie of the year. Jared Goff, who's having a hell of a year. Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, and then there's Baker Mayfield. All right, that's what, 8? I think he's 8th in the league in rating. Let me count those up again. 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to count Kirk Cousins. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th. Top 10 quarterback. 9th in the league in quarterback rating.
And I believe there's some big names right behind Baker Mayfield.
And let's go with Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, a dude by the name of Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Derek Carr, Joe Burrow, Matthew Stafford. So let's give everybody. After week 14, Baker Mayfield is going to have a better passer rating than Trevor Lawrence, Matthew Stafford, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts. Anybody believe in me at the beginning of the season? No. So credit to him. And it hasn't been pretty a lot of the times. But he's avoiding the huge mistakes for the most part. And when he makes mistakes, he gets up off the ground and goes and does it again. I mean, we all, there have been times this year when Baker, I thought the first 4 games he played great and his footwork was good and he got out of the pocket and he did some great things and he hit a rough spot. But he made enough plays to win some games. Even the last couple of weeks when they won, he wasn't great, but he made key plays to win games. And that's all you want from your quarterback is win the damn game. Win the damn game. And he has played winning football, especially obviously the last 3 weeks. And And I'm here for it. Now, am I jumping out and giving him, $40 million a year? No. There's a lot of football left. Okay. I know it's 3 weeks. You got 3 games left, but you're in the driver's seat now.
Yeah.
Again, you got a Jacksonville team that's just trending down right now and will may not have Trevor Lawrence this week coming to town on Christmas Eve, right? You got to travel on Christmas Eve. And then you got the Saints at home, all right? The Saints are not playing great football. They get a dub yesterday, but they're not playing great football. And then you got the Panthers in the final week. And, stats say that the Bucs now have a 60% chance of winning the NFC South. So it's a huge win. This Packers win is a huge freaking win.
Yeah.
And there's not a game left on this schedule that doesn't look winnable.
And like I said, because of the fact that the wild card is getting very kind of jumbled up, and there's a chance that 2 NFC South teams could go potentially, but look at the teams you're kind of competing around, the Vikings, the Packers. You now own the head-to-head on those 2 football teams.
Both of them.
So if you were to finish with identical records, you're going in. Like, that's how big this win was yesterday. From a performance standpoint, it was their best win, but from a statement standpoint and what it means for the teams around them and your positioning, that was a win you had to have. And the Bucs really took it.
I think it's safe to say, as they sit here 7-7, they get to 9. They don't have to win all 3 of these games. If they win 2 of them, I think they're about a 90% shoo-in to be in the playoffs. I mean, how about that?
Yeah, especially if you just take care of the Saints. I mean, I think that because the Saints are 7-7,
right.
They're not playing their best football, but they're continuing to skate on by.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what you want, right? I mean, this feels like the NFC South that we saw, the last 3-4 years, where it always come down to Bucs and Saints. And here we're going to get that matchup. Don't want to get too ahead of ourselves because we still got to play Jacksonville. But that game in Week 17 against New Orleans very well may decide who wins this division.
Yeah, and it's the Atlanta Falcons, where JP got it wrong. I thought the Falcons were going to win this division. They have a roster, an ascending roster, but their quarterback is just awful. Yeah. Their coach is terrible. They don't know how to use their personnel. So I mea culpa on that deal. Atlanta's just, I've talked to some of my friends in Atlanta. They're just like, Jesus, this guy's so bad. Arthur Smith and they have no leadership on that team. Very little leadership. So yeah, if they don't go and get Justin Fields, if they have an opportunity to, they're insane. But who cares about Atlanta? Who cares? You lose to the freaking Panthers. The driving rainstorm, by the way. Shout out to the lunatic fringe Panther fans that stayed and watched that game yesterday.
Well,
somebody go find every one of those people. If you're a Panthers David Tepper, do something right as an owner. Go find every one of those people that stayed and give them free season tickets next year. Just go find them.
I think it's funny. I think yesterday was the game that the Panthers fans took a stand against the ownership and the team, and we're like, we're not going. I mean, you could have gotten a ticket for 2 quarters yesterday, legit.
Yeah.
On the open market. Not many people went. It was like a crazy scene. That had to have been like the lowest attended NFL game I have ever seen.
Yeah, it looked like literally there was about 50 people.
And they end up pulling out a win.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you, Carolina. Thank you.
Good for them. Let me get to some of the comments here today. Thank you guys for jumping aboard today. First and foremost, TJC22, Lawrence in concussion protocol this morning. Yeah. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. But I watched him last night. Maybe he was concussed for most of the game. I don't know. But I finally come to the realization he's not that good. He's just not that good. He's not the transcendent, certainly not the transcendent Patrick Mahomes type quarterback that we've seen. Because Doug Peterson's a good coach. I mean, you get a pass for year one with the Urban Meyer thing. That's awful. Doug Peterson knows what he's doing. But I saw him missing wide open guys last night, not being decisive. He's a hell of an athlete. He can run, and he's amazing in terms of his physical abilities. But I just don't know if he sees the NFL game like he needs to see it. I'm not giving up on him, but I certainly don't fear him as incredibly.
Even if he plays this week, which I think there's only like 1 quarterback or 2 in the concussion protocol era that has gotten hurt on a Sunday and then been able to play the following week. after going into protocol. So it's very unlikely, I think, you'll see Trevor Lawrence because it's so hard to pass all those tests and play.
Yeah.
But even if he was playing, I was going to say, like, I'm really not that scared.
Not fearing him.
Of Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Really not.
By the way, Lamar Jackson is just a freaking witch. He's a witch, and that defense is playing their ass off. I picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl before the season.
Best team in the AFC.
I ain't backing off that. They are, he is starting to find although they lost Keaton Mitchell last night. That's a huge
ugly injury.
Yeah. And again, he's on my fantasy football team. I'm sorry I picked you up midseason, buddy. Guys, I've extended my betting curse to you. By the way, the lovely Ashley may make another appearance today because she did it again. This is really pissing me off, by the way. She hit another parlay, another 2-team parlay, $15 for $600 take. Enough. That's it. 2 in 2 weeks. I'm like, this is not happening. $10. I'm sorry. Who'd you bet? It was like a late game parlay. Yeah. The Browns coming back to win. Like, it was an in-game bet. She just goes and finds like some of the longest odds and like bets on them and puts down 10 or $15 on a 2-team parlay and hits it. So that's two weeks in a row. Pissing me off. Anyway, this Ravens team is freaking really, really good. And now that's an explosive player, but they've got a bunch of them on offense. And Lamar's playing his best football. He's playing his best football. I don't think I've ever seen him play as good as he's playing now. And they don't have Mark Andrews, which is, if they had those two guys for sure, Keaton and Mark Andrews, I think they would be hot, definitely the odds on. But at this point, I like the Ravens. A bit what the Bills did to the Cowboys yesterday was interesting.
Bills have figured it out ever since they made the offensive coordinator switch.
Interesting, huh?
And the Chiefs can't catch the football.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the AFC, I don't think has a shot. So the AFC might be the Ravens taking.
Yeah, I agree. Nathan Elliott take the C from Devin White. He's not a captain. Goddamn right. Never should have gotten it. And and that I'll go on a little bit of a negative rant here. Bowles didn't challenge a key play early in the game. Catch by who was that? Heath. That you got to challenge that play in that situation, especially in the first half. That's a challenge you got to have. Of course, Matt LaFleur's challenging a first down and meaningless, losing a timeout in the second half. That was stupid. But how you got to challenge that one. He didn't do it. Wasn't aggressive with the timeouts in the first half. I think he took 2 timeouts. And even when they're moving down the field, there was an opportunity to take a timeout. Didn't do it. But it's the constant personnel screw ups. The Devin White thing has just been terrible for 2 years now. The guy's he's just not a player. He's not a player. And he played favorites with him, kills your culture. We've talked about that ad nauseum. So that's one. JTS is still out there playing. And he got 18 snaps yesterday.
Only
finally
got 18 snaps though.
Okay. Well, again, way too many and way too long that's taken for this guy. To still stay on the field over Diaby is ridiculous. And David Moore is a pro. The dude's a pro. Where has he been? I mean, that was a hell of a play he made yesterday, and that's a game-winning play. Let's just be honest about that. The Packers are making a bit of a run. It's a little 5-yard out. He shakes, great throw by Baker in a tight window, and two guys collide, and he just makes another guy miss it. He runs away from everybody else. Where's that speed been? Holy, that guy's a player. How has he not been playing?
I mean, he brought something differently on that play that I don't see from any of the Bucs receivers, and I'm including Mike and I'm including Chris, whereas Mike gets the ball and he kind of, covers up a little bit and is just kind of bracing for contact or whatever. Chris does the same thing. In fact, Chris made a big error the only error he made all day was before half. Got to get out of bounds, and he just kind of backed up like he thought he was going to get hit. And that kind of killed that Bucs drive there where they could have gotten 6, but they had to settle for 3.
Yep.
But David Moore, he catches the ball, turns upfield, he puts the ball in one hand, and he's just looking downfield. How can I make a play and how can I go? And he's making moves. I haven't seen a Bucs receiver really do that all year long. And Trey Palmer, I mean, maybe Trey Palmer becomes the guy at some point in the offense, but not right now.
No, David Moore is my number 3.
David
right
Moore's
now.
your
Moving
3
forward,
right
let's
now.
not wait. Let's not take 6 weeks to get this done. Okay,
Right.
David Moore is your number 3. End of story. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, and I thought he had a good rapport with Baker. I thought in the preseason too. When we got to see
fantastic.
Because remember, Baker wasn't playing with the 2 top guys. He was playing with David Moore. He was playing with Trey Palmer and some of the other guys, and Moore was making plays.
Yeah, that's it, and that's been a problem for this offense to not have a legitimate number 3 receiver.
Yep.
You know, it doesn't have to be great, but you got to get me 5 to 6. You know, good, decent. Give me 5 to 6 catches or at least good targets. You know, like make them cover your ass.
Yeah,
because you know,
and I think the emergence of Cade Otton too. I don't want him.
Yes.
I think he's the unsung hero of the offense this season. He's really impressed me. Another guy that I thought you were going to have to bring somebody else in next year, and maybe they still do that. But since Cade's playing as well as he is, and then Mike and Chris, we finally got those 2 guys in sync yesterday.
Yes.
They both had the game we were waiting for, and then David Moore. You're starting to see and Rashad White. You have a nice little nucleus of 5 guys right there.
Yeah, when you have a 2-person offense, Mike Evans, Rashad White, it's difficult. It's difficult. It's easy to defend. When you got 5 bona fide targets that all can hurt you, okay, now you got something. Now you got a multiple offense that our next comment. It goes without saying, but that was the absolute best game Canales has called from a sequencing perspective. I don't know, TJC, I'll ask you this question. It seems to me that Bowles took the handcuffs off him yesterday and said, you don't have to run it 30 times today. I think they were
28 passes, 27 runs, and then more specifically, I think they, on first down, they ran 15 times and threw 10 times, but second down, they threw 13 times, and they only ran 7 times. That was the big difference because Canales, especially against Atlanta, he was really in that run, pass mode on 3 downs. He changed that up a little bit yesterday.
Yeah. James, hey, buddy, welcome back. TB12 would have thrown 10 balls in the dirt yesterday. You got that right. Canales schemes so much better than last year. Yes, Baker needs to get rid of the ball, but at least he stays in the pocket and doesn't worry about getting hit. Yes, thank you. One of the big reasons that I said this offense is going to be better. They're going to get him on the move. You're not going to have a standstill guy back there who's throwing the ball away and doesn't want to get hit. You can't play football that way. We don't need to go back through that, but yes, Baker will get a 2 to 3 year deal. I don't. First of all, nobody needs to sign anybody right now. So let's see how this plays out. Listen, if Baker really turned the corner yesterday and is letting it rip and he continues to let it rip like he did yesterday, then okay, I'm all for, let's start talking about a long-term deal.
Yep.
But let's not, one game had a great game against a crappy defense. Let's keep it where it's at. Let's not be the prisoner of the moment and go bananas. All right. It is what it is. It was a fantastic performance yesterday, but it comes off 2 or 3 weeks where he wouldn't let the ball rip. He did it. So let's give him credit, and then we'll see what happens the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, I wanted, because again, I've seen Baker have games like this, and then he'll follow it up with a stinker, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the reason why Baker Mayfield, that's why he's on his 4th team right now. That's been his MO. So I want to see the follow-up, but I feel like he sees it. He's at the end of the line here with this season. He's playing meaningful games. He's winning a division at the moment, and he sees the playoffs in sight. I think if Baker was ever going to turn his MO around, it's going to be right now because he's got all the incentive in the world to do it. And as we've said all during the show so far, the way the offense, Canales figuring it out yesterday, the handcuffs are off, the targets coming together, Chris in the slot. This is the best opportunity he's had all year to really flourish.
I mean, a lot of stuff that we've talked about all year long is coming to fruition, right? Get Devin White the hell out of there. Get Aaron Stinney in there. Get Yaya Diaby in there. Be more aggressive defensively at the end of games instead of sitting back. Be more aggressive offensively. Let it rip. And we're seeing all these things come to fruition. And I'm not patting ourselves on the back. We're just saying.
I even love, in regards to Bowles and Canales being aggressive, I even like at the end of the game where they could have just punted it away and whatever moved on.
Yes.
And they went for it to put the offense right back out there. And the offensive line, for the 2nd week in a row in that situation, owned the line of scrimmage.
Yes.
And that's confidence building right there.
And they're running behind Stinney and Murphs.
Yep.
They're pretty damn good in the run game, those 2 guys. And it makes a difference when and let's think about that. You're at the 41-yard line the plus 41, right? You punt the ball with 5 minutes left. You give them the ball. You just give it to them. All right. If the punt doesn't go well and they get the ball at the 20-yard line, you've given up a key possession for 20 yards of field position. That's
Right.
so stupid. Okay. Even if the punt goes well, you're giving away 30 yards of field position, which if you play soft, like this is what we do. We punt the ball. This is what we've done. We punt the ball away, just give it up, and then play soft. So in 2 plays, you're giving them 15 yards of play anyway. So in 2 plays, you're right back where you started if you went for it. So just what's the point? Go for it. And look what happens. You get a first down. Shocking development. Jeremy says if Baker leads at 10-7, he deserves short-term. Damn right he does. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's see these games play out.
That would mean the Bucs would end their season on a 6-game winning streak.
How about that?
Which I don't think any of us
would have
said
seen that coming. Ain't happening. And look what's going down. But this is not the team that we saw play 3-4 weeks ago. All right, can we say that? You don't have the Devin White anchor. You're starting to play players that should be playing and have earned that playing time. So I said, Lord knows who else is on the practice squad. That's the best player on this team. But well, hopefully just through attrition, we'll find out.
I mean, the guys that we've seen have to come in a pinch. Marquise Watts at times. J.J. Russell, let's not forget, he was in there first before K.J. Britt got a look. It was J.J. Russell against Carolina.
Right.
And he played really well. Okay, that was a guy that was, I don't even know I think he was undrafted probably.
Yeah.
He never gotten a look. He played well then. KJ played well then. David Moore just played well. Like, Stinney played well. A lot of the guys that were not playing early part of the season have come in.
They're difference makers.
They're making differences.
Yep. TJC says 25 first down plays, 15 rushes, 10 passes. That's a hell of a lot more balanced than we've seen. There haven't been a whole lot of passes. And it was second down that changed 13 passes to 7 runs. Yeah, much more unpredictable play calling by Canales. It just felt to me like he had a lot more to. Although it was interesting. Remember what Canales said like probably 4 or 5 weeks ago? He said like, we're not showing everything right now. And we were like, what? Like, dude, you're going to be out of the playoffs. What are you saving it for? And I'm not going to say these were new wrinkles, but to me, the big difference was just Baker Mayfield letting it rip. These guys have been open. I think Canales has been calling better games, but he was more diverse on first and second down. There's no question.
Yeah, and I thought he outcoached Joe Barry.
Yeah,
in circles.
Yeah. Did the Panthers plus money on Moneyline Friday? The entire world bet on Atlanta, and the line didn't move. Yeah, how about that? Nice run. I guess an excellent one. Saints spent $40 million versus Carr, first $4 million plus incentives for Baker to come to Bucs. All Carr does is throw five-yard passes.
And his offensive line hates him.
Yeah,
they hate him.
Is that the thing?
I mean, there was last week they were winning the game, and Eric McCoy, the center in the fourth quarter, is like yelling at Carr as they're walking off the field and everything. Wow. And you got fans were booing him in the stadium whenever he like came back in for Taysom Hill. Yeah. I don't think Eric's well liked.
Yeah. Devin White being benched is a big boost for the whole team, says Air Cecil, new commenter. Thank you, buddy. His lack of effort and poor play was bringing the entire team down. Yeah, man. We've been talking about that for 2 years. And finally, let's just be honest here. It took an injury to get him out, as usual.
Yeah, but I'm still going to give Todd
took an injury to get him out.
I'm still going to give Todd credit, though, because even though what happened, I didn't see Todd actually doing it, like benching Devin White. I think like we've been saying it, but it's another thing to do it. And I never had any type of thing to go off of to tell me, okay, Todd's going to do it. So when he did it yesterday, I actually was a little bit surprised. And then when Devin acted the way he did, that's not surprising. But I'll give Todd Bowles a lot of credit, and I don't want him to go underneath everything. I know the players have played well, but they were 4-7 after that Indy game. And we thought they were dead in the rights.
Yep.
And my goodness, 3 wins in a row, all in December. This is the time you start to play your best. The Bucs are starting to do it. And if you haven't noticed, this team is with Todd Bowles and the coaching staff. He hasn't lost them.
No, he hasn't lost the team. But I think this Devin White thing has got to continue to play out. As James says, do you think it saves the locker room? Yeah, I think it totally does, because you can't do that. You just can't do that and let that guy continue to play. Can you imagine if you put him back in there this week?
There's just no way. There's just no way. And Todd said yesterday, KJ's earned more playing time. Well, again, if that's the case,
But again, it took an injury.
Yeah, it's taken an injury for Stinney to get in there. It took an injury for some other guys, but I don't know. At this point, I'm just rolling with it. You just got to roll with it. Roll with the hot hand.
A lot of people on the David Moore train here. I don't think that's it. But again, good God, it takes so long for this team to make obvious choices. And it's not good. It's not good. I also think Moore will take over Trey Palmer. I totally agree on that, and he should. It just seemed like for Green Bay out of too high shell, he pulled the trigger. I also think guys were more crisp around him. Routes were clean, breaks were clean. Yeah, this team just played so much better. They played with energy. They played with precision. They didn't play stupid football. There wasn't a lot of stupid stuff yesterday, and I'm just here to tell you, man, I think I've talked so much about culture because I believe in it. And when you don't hold guys accountable, your culture sucks. And everybody's like, yeah, whatever. Coach don't care. Letting this guy play, letting that guy play. He shouldn't be playing. And then when that changes, then when guys that should be playing are playing, it changes the whole dynamic. And that's what we saw. That's what we've seen from this team for 3 weeks. And I've completely changed my tune on this team because they've changed. They're starting to do the things they should have been doing for the entire freaking season. And it makes a difference. So congratulations to Todd Bowles, forced to or not because of injury. We're finally getting the guys in there. He was more aggressive offensively and defensively yesterday, finally. So, yeah, when I watch this team play, I go, all right, this team can make some noise. I'm not saying they're making a run here in the NFC, although I do lay a little money on them to win the NFC Championship.
Good luck with that.
It's only $25, but hey, bring me a cool 2,000.
I would have only been safe to put like 2 on that. You're out here putting 25.
Yeah, if they do, it'll be a nice little hit. Maybe I'll finally overtake Ashley's 2-team parlays, but we'll see. All right, let's take. We give you 41 minutes uninterrupted, folks, because it's a big Bucs win. We got a lot of people watching, but we got to take a break at some point. So a quick 3-minute break here. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves is the man. He will fight for you, and he's a local guy. You could go see him in the St. Pete office or go see him in the Tampa Bay office. The Jeeves Law Group supports a lot of local charities. So, there's a lot of people you can call in an accident. You see all the ads out there. Go with somebody local who's accountable to you locally, who's been here, has a great reputation, is one of the top lawyers in the state, rated that way, has all the accreditation. They'll take cases to trial when all these others are just looking to settle for the most part. It's the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. We'll chat with him this week. I need to get him on to tell me a little bit more about where FSU stands legally in this deal, which we're going to get to that. Also, Matt Matera is going to join us at 11 o'clock from Pewter Report, and much more coming your way. We got FSU stuff. I got cruise stories for you too. If you got any cruisers out there, hit me up. Your worst cruise story, because I got plenty of them. And the volleyball national championship was huge in Tampa over the weekend. We'll hit that as well. So much more coming your way here on the JP Peterson Show. Stay with us. JP here from my friends at your local Synovus Bank, and I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta, big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation, and that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a Get Acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to Synovus.com to find out where your local branch is. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. The holidays are engagement season. Where better than the Gold and Diamond Source to get that special ring? Of course, the customer service is impeccable. Julie and Steve Weintraub are the best of the best. And only natural diamonds, of course. It takes billions of years to form natural diamonds. You don't want something that was made in a factory 2 weeks ago. She certainly doesn't. And why deal with the mall madness when just one trip to the Gold and Diamond Source gets you all you need? None of the parking hassles, no nothing. The Gold and Diamond Source has the perfect gift for everyone. And don't forget to shop the Emily from Emily Johnson Weintraub, which is an affordable gold and diamond jewelry collection. It's always stylish and unique, and Emily has created this fashion-forward gold, diamond, and gemstone jewelry line ideal for everyday wear. Each piece is designed to enhance your look by featuring eye-catching modern geometrical shapes. And don't forget, for the holidays, only 3 to 5 year interest-free financing. And don't forget, for the holidays only, 3 to 5 year interest-free financing. So this holiday season, keep it local and make sure it's a Gold and Diamond Source diamond, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here. Much appreciate our great sponsors, the G's Law Group, Golden Diamond Source, Synovus Bank, John Acosta and the group over there. If you need a new banker, you kind of pissed at your banker, things that have been going on, like myself, go over to Synovus. Great folks over there. They're a big company, a big bank, but with a very, very local feel to it. They pride themselves on that. So big shout out to Synovus Bank and the great folks over there. Yeah, so we're going to get back to the Bucs here in a little bit and talk about some other stuff, but had to get a little shout out to James, who I met on the cruise in the yacht club at MSC. Big fan of the show. I'm sitting there at the bar in the yacht club. It's just like, which if you've been cruising on MSC and some others, you can pay to get upgraded to like a private area, Nick, which I highly recommend. I know this sounds super bougie, but it's worth it. You get the drink. Here's the deal. The drink package is included. So by the time you go through all the stuff that you can add on with Wi-Fi and drinks and everything else, you just pay a little bit more per day, and you're in the, and where you got your private bar, private everything. It's like a lot less people. You're not in the general pop, as they say, which on this cruise was a complete disaster. I mean, we left out of Miami in freaking 45, 55 knot winds into a forecast heading to Nassau and then their private island. It was a 3-day cruise. And we're into a forecast of the same. Like, and then when the winds get to over 40 knots, they can't dock these boats because they're huge. They're so high up into the water that they get pushed by the wind. And that's the problem. The seas they can handle, but it's the wind that just pushes these boats. And so we go through the night and we're literally hitting 20-foot swells, like 20-foot swells. We're like, you're laying in bed and you're like, you could feel a boat going down. These are humongous boats. And you're like weightless for like 2 or 3 seconds. Like you're in like the vomit comet. You coming back up and it's like, and this went on all night long. Thank the Lord for Dramamine. Nobody got sick in our cabin, but there was obviously a lot of people that were, and it was very uncomfortable. The staff was, for the most part, really, really good. And they did a hell of a job. But the decisions to go out, and then many of the boats behind us just didn't leave port, which would have been the smarter thing to do. but there's money involved, right? If you don't leave port, blah, 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 blah. So I'm sure there were a lot of monetary decisions, but we cruise out. We couldn't land at Nassau. So they're like, and instead of like sitting in calm waters, he goes back into the open sea and we're doing this again, like just going crazy back and forth. I mean, it was bananas. Then the next day we go to the private island. We get there and it's pretty calm for the most part. Winds are still high, but he says he can't dock the boat. And I get that. I'm not going to, I'm not a captain. I don't know how to drive these boats. So I understand that. But for my money, why the hell did we ever leave? Because the forecast was the same. It didn't change. And they knew this was going to happen. And I think it has to do if you get out of the port, they don't have to refund your money. But I mean, that's just 3 days of sitting down the high seas, in 20-foot waves was no fun. Now we made the best of it. Food was great for the most part. First night was awful. But drink, you get the drink package, you might as well have at it. And we made the most of it. Made a lot of good friends, but my God, that was not a whole lot of fun. Not a whole lot of fun. But again, we made the best of it, but
if it never took off, could they still have like theoretically just sat there and you still could do your normal things on a cruise?
Yeah.
Just sitting in the port?
Yeah. You just sit there in the port, you're on the boat, you go to the restaurants, there's plenty of activities on the boat. By the way, the entertainment was awful. My God, it was so bad. Like they're trying to do these like dance numbers. And like one night they did this thing called Legends of Rock. And they got, some dude trying to sing Bruce Springsteen with a Spanish accent.
Can we get
like,
past
come on, man.
the 80s cover bands?
Oh
we
my
please
God.
put these to rest?
Oh my God. It was so bad. It was so bad. So bad. Like I'm sitting down. I'm going, they can't think this is entertaining to people. You cannot think this. And then they had like this dance number where they dressed them up in Yankees uniforms. I think it was like these foreign. It's an Italian company, MSC Cruises, by the way. I'm now having my way with you people when I get to your customer service people finally. But I think they're like trying to cater to Americans. Like, oh, we'll put these people in Yankees uniforms and do like a little baseball number and sing, Glory Days or, these stupid I felt like I was watching like a fourth grade talent show without the cuteness factor, without the cuteness, like adults doing that was that bad. It was so cruise entertainment, it ain't going to be a Vegas show, but come on, you got to be better than that. It was freaking awful, terrible. So, you go on a cruise, the weather's going to be important, but at least, give it an effort for God's sakes. Give it a freaking effort. Terrible.
Well, now I know. I've never been on a cruise, so this is all new to me, everything you're saying.
Well, I've been on some great cruises. Really have. But, I think now cruising has become like so popular. And I think so there's so many big boats out there. There's so many, and I think there's just a money grab at this point. And they're just herding people on and off. And there's going to be a pushback. There were so many people that were pissed on our boat, and rightfully so. Right? Like, how do you charge somebody for we're going to go to Nassau on our private island, and we're going to get off, and we have, and if you're in the yacht club and you've paid extra, you get private beaches. They're bringing you pina coladas and waiting on you hand and foot, and it's they got cool stuff. It's fantastic, right? But if you don't get that, you still have to pay for it. Like you get they gave us our port fees back. That was about it. You get it's crazy.
I was gonna say, aren't the Lightning doing a cruise coming up soon?
They are, yeah.
The Bucks do one every year, right?
Yeah, the Bucks do one.
Those would probably be fun.
Yeah, and because you're being catered to for your whatever you're interested in. That's really, really cool. And in some of these like rock cruises, like Nathan Elliott says, check out the Summer of '99 cruise. Creed, Three Doors Down. Yeah, they get the actual bands on there, like the actual bands, like in these small theaters. That would be freaking awesome. Relatively speaking, small theaters. They're like 1,500 people. It's pretty cool on a boat that you have these huge. The Rock Boat, hosted by Sister Hazel, has almost 30 other bands, and these are real bands. Now, yeah, I'm totally down with that. What does he say here? Crazy waves and weather. We lost the port because we couldn't stop and went down to the many. That's the other thing. They could have diverted. Like a lot of these boats went to Mexico, and they diverted other places and they got to good weather. It felt like our captain was like chasing the worst weather. I'm looking at my weather app. I'm like, yeah, it's sunny over there. Why don't you, if you're going to go out to sea, drive over there, dog. I mean, I can see a weather map. And it just seemed like he just drove into the biggest waves he could possibly find. It was so stupid. And again, I'm not a captain. I don't know how it works, but it seems like I hear all these other boats were going to the DR. They're going over to Mexico. They're diverting other places. And our idiot takes us right into the teeth of the storm and just sits there bobbing like a cork for 2 to 3 days. Yeah. And just, again, I'm not privy to all the stuff they have, but other boats seem to figure it out while our guy was just, I don't know. It was funny because people were commenting in the section. He became known as Captain Out of Breath because every time he came on the all call, he'd be like breathing hard, and we're like, it's so fun. But like the funny part about like day 3, we didn't hear it. The captain never spoke. I don't know if he got fired. I don't know what the hell happened, but the captain kind of disappeared on day 3. It was like only the cruise director would come on and speak. And everybody's like, what happened to Captain Out of Breath? I don't know. But yeah, he was awkwardly silent for the past few days. All right, let's hear from Baker Mayfield if we can. The victorious quarterback with the perfect passer rating, who really, really came out of his shell yesterday and let it rip. Here's the great Baker Mayfield.
That was big time. We talked about this week having a complimentary game on offense, and I think our guys really took that to heart, and it was great. We came in with a mentality to be able to run the ball, but the passing game was there, and our guys stuck to it. A lot of guys involved. A lot of guys made a play here and there, and just everybody contributed.
You talked about Brett Favre being one of your idols, and I'm sure you watched him play here many, many times. It wasn't your first time playing here, but it was most certainly your best.
Oh,
what
absolutely.
did it mean to be able to have that kind of game here at Lambeau Field?
Third time's a charm, that's for sure. No, but just our team was really prepared to come in here. Just like we talked about, that mentality, the playoff mentality, to come in here with one job in mind and just find a way
prepared
to win. And we did that. So just couldn't be happier, this group. And so we'll enjoy it, but then hit the reset button on to next week.
A couple weeks ago, Chris Godwin did get a catch today, took over the game. So what was he able to do in
Guy's just so consistent, man. Can't say enough about him. A true stud, true professional. Has never complained, has never done any of that. Just done everything he needs to do. And today he was balling. Just some clutch catches, that's for sure. Didn't get in the end zone, but was definitely the guy to keep the chains moving consistently today and set up everybody else. So couldn't be happier for Chris.
Can you talk about the 52-yard touchdown pass to David Moore? How anxious were you to see that you didn't celebrate this time?
I'll be honest, I didn't see it until I got to the sideline. Just the third down play that we've run a bunch. Just checking Mike first. If they take that away, move on to David or the corner route. Campbell was there. It was a pretty tight window to throw the sticker out to David. So
Great
fit it
throw.
in there to him, and then he did the rest. And so I was celebrating, so I didn't really see him put the ball back. But yeah, it's better to learn on a touchdown rather than a touchback, and so we'll learn from that and keep it in house.
Yeah, that almost cost him.
Oh, absolutely. I could only imagine.
What kind
So.
of adjustments did you guys make after halftime? That third quarter was just an explosion. You guys really clicking on all cylinders.
Just being more consistent. Everybody being on the same page. We've done that pretty much the whole year, is coming out and adjusting at halftime, being able to get everybody on the same page, and just everybody had the mentality to be aggressive. And I'd say everybody was on the same page, and that was the big difference.
Be aggressive. Be aggressive.
Everybody just doing their job. Nothing special. It wasn't like we were running brand new plays. It wasn't like we were scheming up and reinventing the wheel. Guys just did their jobs. A couple of huge third and long conversions that everybody just did the little things right. So that's what it comes down to: playing on the road, take care of the ball, and move on from there.
I know you've played in a lot of meaningful football games throughout your career at all different levels, but where would this one rank? Because it wasn't just a personal high for you, but the fact that it was one of those games that the team really, really needed.
I'll be honest. It's December games are all important. This one was very important, but this one won't matter unless we, hit the reset button and move on next week. So it can't be more special than any other. It's the most important one now, but enjoy it, and then we'll move on to the next week. So that's the mentality that we have to have as a unit.
Being aggressive, man. You go back and watch the tape of this, and it hit me from very beginning of this tape. He was letting it rip. He was hitting the bat foot and letting it rip. And when we watched the tape the last 3 weeks, what were we telling you? He ain't pulling the trigger. Guys are open. He's not pulling the trigger. He's not pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
And he pulled the trigger. That's the difference. Being aggressive. Let it go.
By the way, we talked a lot about the offense, and I don't think the defense was necessarily great. I think Jordan Love was just really bad, I think, for stretches of that game.
That fourth down pass was bad.
But to the point about adjustments, I mean, did you remember the first drive? Aaron Jones had like 40 yards rushing.
Yes, I do. Remember
I think we were all thinking, oh, this is going to be a long day for the Bucs, and they're just going to run it right down your throat. And he ended up with 53 rushing yards.
How about that?
I think he had 10 the rest of the game.
Yeah.
That really, to me, you forced Jordan Love to beat you, and his accuracy was just all over the place yesterday.
Yeah. And and by the way, Logan Hall let's give a shout out to Logan Hall. Made a huge play on that third down at the goal line. Made a huge play on 3rd and 1, and then they go for it on 4th down. And, Jordan's guy's open. And by the way, aggressive on 4th down. They blitzed. Every time they blitzed, he got the ball out, but he was not accurate. He threw off his back foot, and pressure bust pipes. And he did that on the 4th down with 5 minutes left. That game was not over. As we know, with the Bucs defense, we've seen them give up leads. But with 4th down, he came after him. And I think Bowles was uber aggressive in his coaching mentality. And Baker was aggressive in his decision-making. And that, to me, was the difference. All right, let's bring in Matt Matera from Pewter Report and get his thoughts on this. Good morning to you, Matt, my friend. And this was, you just heard my analysis of it. What are your thoughts on their uber aggressiveness yesterday?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, especially from the offensive side of the football, because we've kind of seen this with Todd Bowles. He's always going to blitz. And naturally, if you blitz often, and the Bucs are usually up there as one of the highest blitzing teams in the league, that shows aggression. But to see it from the offensive side of the football, I think was really important. Even at the end, going for it late in the game on 4th down and saying, we trust Rachaad White, which I absolutely loved because I had the over on the rushing yards for Rachaad White, and he hit it on that last run of the game.
No, he did it. That last 2-yard run got him the
no, the one that he ripped off.
Oh, the long one. Okay,
yeah.
Okay,
but I digress on that one. But to your point, Baker Mayfield, what you guys were talking about before, that was his best game as a Buc, and one of the best games of his career. I mean, a perfect passer rating in Lambeau Field. It's only been done by, I think, 2 other quarterbacks, not that were not Packers quarterbacks, excuse me. And he looked confident. I don't know if he can do this every single week, but in this moment, I think every single Bucs fan should enjoy it because he hit the guys that were open. He made some tough throws too, especially over the middle in coverage. And for whatever reason, Baker was feeling it yesterday. And I think it was the best game from the offense this season.
And what can you say about Rachaad White, and particularly the second part of the season? I think I saw yesterday he's ahead of everyone else in the league in scrimmage yards since week 8, if you could believe it. And I feel like up until that point, we were talking like, okay, he's not special. He's not going to be the running back next year. They got to bring somebody in. And now in this 3-down role, I mean, you see what he does yesterday with the ball in his hands in space.
Yeah, even to your point, going into that game, Rachaad White was 3rd in the league in passing yards or receiving yards among running backs in the passing game. So he's just a guy that can do a little bit of everything for this team. He looks so different. He looks like a completely different player from September and even October. He's just way more confident. He hits the hole almost right away, and it's not always there for the offensive line that's blocking for him. So he has to, before he would do a little bit of like tiptoeing, tap dancing the backfield and then deciding. And I think patience is a little bit important as a running back. Like Le'Veon Bell kind of set the standard of like, you can wait for the hole to develop, but not everyone had that offensive line that Le'Veon Bell was working with in his prime. So you do have to adjust on the fly like that. And let's remember, this is Rachaad White's first full season as a starting running back in the NFL. He didn't really get his chance until the latter half of the second half of last season because Leonard Fournette was here. So he's figuring it out along the way. I think the Bucs understand that he's not just going to be a guy that's going to run in between the tackles. You got to get him out in space. That's why he's been so great in the passing game, and he can be effective without 25 carries for 145 yards. He can have his impact and help the offense in so many different ways, and that's what makes him most valuable to this team.
Well, Matt, I don't think it's any coincidence that his resurgence coincided with the insertion of Aaron Stinney, just like last year with Nick Leverett. And, of course, it takes an injury to make this coaching staff do anything of note when it comes to personnel. And I want to be negative after a big win, but we hold them accountable here. And and I'll say the same thing about David Moore. We saw this in preseason. Where the hell has he been, man? That was not just a lucky play. That was a hell of a catch, a great move, and a burst. And the dude's fast. He runs a 4.42. Where the hell has he been with Yaya? I mean, we could go through all these personnel decisions that are ridiculous and was Devin White. Devin White has been playing terrible football for 2 years, but has not been taken out. You put somebody else in there, and look what happens. 3-game winning streak. I don't think any of this is coincidence. Personnel matters. And when you finally get the right people in there, this is what you get, right?
Absolutely. Personnel, hustle, effort, and attitude. It all matters. And to the Devin White thing, which we'll talk about in a moment, I think absolutely the attitude is a big difference as to why this defense, while still not perfect, at least is showing that hustle that you want to see. The David Moore thing, it's so funny because last week I was writing after they signed him to the active roster, and I said, why isn't he getting more consideration for wide receiver 3? Going into the season, he was the only guy that knew the offense. That's out of Dave Canales and wide receivers coach Brad Idzik. And I get the idea of the Bucs love the potential of Trey Palmer, and he's got even better speed than David Moore and can take the top off the defense. And while that certainly is important, and it's an important element to an offense, there's been no production from Trey Palmer since, I don't know, the first game against the Saints before the bye. So the Bucs have gone way too far along without getting anything besides Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And if they take them out of the game, kind of like Atlanta did with Mike Evans the week before, where are you going to find everything else? And that was the beauty of, that the 2020 Super Bowl team and the 2021 team that was, in my opinion, even better than the Super Bowl winning team. And granted, you had Antonio Brown and Gronk, so it's a little bit different. But in games where Mike Evans and Chris Godwin weren't popping off, they were able to find production from somewhere else, and you just weren't getting it with Trey Palmer. You really weren't getting it with Devin Tompkins either, because he would only be in the game. It's like, all right, here comes the end around. And it has been great up until yesterday's game. So David Moore, I think, absolutely should immediately come in and be wide receiver 3. And that's been a huge knock on Todd Bowles, and maybe Dave Canales deserves credit. I know we're trying to be positive, but maybe Dave Canales deserves a little bit of criticism as well. It's just taking too long to make these adjustments. It's almost like we as the media have to all go in and pry it out of Todd Bowles. Like, why is Devin White making all these mistakes? Oh, well, it's not too bad. Yeah. Why?
He's our second best defensive player.
And Shaq Barrett, and you're not getting any production from the outside linebacker. Why not try Yaya Diaby, who just automatically makes an impact on this team? Didn't have the best game yesterday, but in general, I'm talking about. That's been a huge knock on this coaching staff, is just the inability to make personnel adjustments week in and week out, and waiting too long because maybe they don't want to hurt some feelings. But it's the NFL, man. If you don't win, you're going to be out of a job. With that said, they've won 3 in a row.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, my favorite thing I saw yesterday was the Keith touchdown, and then the Gronk spike after. I thought that was great, by the way. Keith, his first catch of the season is a touchdown. Just barely, but he got the touchdown. That was big to see. But you said you were going to talk about Devin, so I'll give you the floor there. Do you think this is it for him? Does he play another down, you think, for the Bucs moving forward?
You know what's funny is before the game, I got asked that question. I said, I bet we'll see Devin White at some point this season. But then after hearing Todd Bowles, and it very much felt that it was, coach speak in terms of Devin just felt like he couldn't go. I mean, it's that plus KJ Britt, while will not be mistaken for Ray Lewis or Brian Urlacher or anyone like that. KJ Britt, he's a thumper, and he was. If you even tried to turn a blind eye to KJ Britt, you couldn't. He was everywhere on the field, involved in plays, solid in coverage as well. He had a couple of mishaps, but that's the Bucs pass defense for you. The big knock against him was that he's too slow. Like, he's physical. He's got the intangibles that you like in a linebacker. The knock on him was that he was too slow, but something about playing in game speed, he's picked it up a little bit. And I think he's at least earned himself the right to compete for a starting inside linebacker job for the Bucs next season, because he'll still be under contract. We'll see what they do with the draft and the and free agency and everything like that. But if they can bring in and keep Levante David, Levante can work with anybody.
Yeah.
KJ Britt has put himself into a situation where everybody was talking about Savasi Dennis. Maybe KJ Britt's the guy.
Yeah.
For Devin White, he's out the door. This is it. I mean, and we'll see what the fallout is from him not playing in yesterday's game. But if there's any strain at all with Todd Bowles, who is a coach that has been defending Devin White since day one, he will defend him until the cows come home. If there's any, miscommunication or a strife in the relationship, then, I mean, it was very, very low chances he was coming back to the Bucs in the first place. You could set it at 0 right now.
Well, I'll go a step further, Matt, because I think it's important to your culture, and I don't think it's a coincidence that this team has won 3 in a row with him not playing. Because as we've discussed many times, games come down to 5 or 7 plays, right? And if you can target one guy who you know is going to be completely undisciplined in the red zone or on a key third down, which is what teams have been doing for 2 years plus, then you're going to win games with that guy on the field. And he has always been a liability, and the protection of him by Todd Bowles is criminal in my mind. And for him to do what he did yesterday, and Rick Stroud even reported this and said, I'm told White's attitude has not set well recently with some teammates and coaches. Well, his attitude hasn't set well with me for a long time. What he did this offseason I thought was criminal. I would have got rid of him then. I would have traded him and got something for him. But they didn't. They kept protecting him, and it took an injury to get him out. Let's just be honest with you. This was not a coaching decision. It took an injury to get him out and force this team to see somebody else play better than him. So I'm not giving Todd Bowles any credit. And I'm going to tell you this. If he continues to cover for this shit that he just pulled yesterday, when he was told he wasn't playing, when he practiced and he said, you're not starting, and then he's going to take his ball and go home, I can't go. Okay, you're out. You give me the C, get the hell out. And that, if you don't do it, Matt, and you continue to cover for his ass, it's not going to sit well, because already teammates are pissed at him, and why shouldn't they be? Why shouldn't they be? And I'm telling you, he's got to do it. And if he doesn't do it, you're going to screw up a lot of great momentum that this team has rolling. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. You have a lot of valid points, and I think this goes all the way back to the beginning of the season, like after the trade request. Why do you think that the captains weren't named until a couple of games into the season? I'll give you 2 reasons. One, because captain usually goes to the quarterback, and they need to figure out the quarterback situation. You weren't just going to hand Baker the C if he, stumbled out of the gate, but they didn't. They went 3-1. The other one was because Devin White wasn't here in training camp, but he was a guy that had been a captain previously on this team. It's kind of tough to take a guy that's been captain for multiple years and then say, sorry, you're not one of our team leaders this season. So they kind of had to wait until everything was all honky-dory, and then good again with Devin White. But it's funny as well, because at times it still feels like that nationally, or at least outside of Tampa Bay, there's still this perspective that Devin White's like one of the best inside linebackers in the league. So that will actually benefit Devin White. So, I'm all about leaving it on the field. But if you're Devin White and you still have this outlook of other teams think that I'm great, maybe it kind of weirdly helps you to not play. But on the flip side, the grass is not always greener. Devin probably said, oh, they're going to be nothing without me. They're going to struggle without me. And then he doesn't play. Who the grass is greener for? The Bucs right now, and KJ Britt.
Exactly.
But they've won 3 in a row. KJ Britt has played well enough. And, this team is rocking and rolling. Their next game on Christmas Eve, if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play, you're looking at potentially a 4-game winning streak with a major showdown against the New Orleans Saints. So it's crazy how this league works, man, because I've been on your show before, and we're like, wow, are they going to fire Todd Bowles tomorrow? And now it's like he might coach himself into staying for next season.
No question.
And I think he deserves credit that the team has not given up on him.
Absolutely.
They haven't given up on the coaching staff. They are absolutely together. I wanted to go back to Baker's play because, like you said, best game that he's had in the Bucs. I think it might be the best game, one of the best games any quarterback has played around the league all season. With that being said, it's not lost on me. This was Green Bay, and they have an ability to make a lot of quarterbacks look like Hall of Fame talents. I mean, even the week prior, Tommy DeVito. And Tommy DeVito yesterday against the Saints, he didn't look too good. So should we just enjoy in the moment and stop looking at, okay, what's going to happen in the offseason or this and that? Or how is your ability to like think that he's going to build off of this now?
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the moment when you're in it. Life is short, and so when you gotta appreciate the good times when you're in it.
Especially if you're a Bucs fan.
Exactly, especially if you're a Bucs fan. But Nick, I'm in full agreement with you because I am not going to be. I usually tend to sway towards the positive of things, but it did cross my mind. I'm like, Tommy DeVito was the NFC Offensive Player of the Week last week, playing against this same Packers defense, and credit to Baker Mayfield. He is a better quarterback than Tommy DeVito, and he should win. He's got a little bit of tougher competition this week, but he should be the NFC Offensive Player of the Week this week as well. Do I think Baker will continue to do this week in and week out? No, absolutely not. We've seen Baker have some flashy moments. We've also seen Baker play poorly. He played poorly over the last two games facing Carolina and Atlanta. Now he made the clutch plays in the end against Atlanta, so that kind of saves the story, and the winners write the history books. So I think everyone should be happy that this is the ceiling for Baker Mayfield. This is what he can look like if everything is working great and when he's using his weapons to his best ability, because this was one of the lone games this season where you got big production from both Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. And Chris Godwin was the star of the show in this one. So, I don't think it's going to be like this week in and week out. So enjoy the moment while you're in it. And that's not to say that Baker can't take a little bit of this game and harness it and try to do that for the rest of the season. But it was an unreal game. I mean, we are talking literal perfection, a perfect passer rating. You're not going to do that every single week.
No, absolutely not. Matt Matera joining us here from Pewter Report. And by the way, I may have spoke out of turn about him being released, because if you release Devin, I'm not sure if you get compensation if some idiot team gives him a lot of money in free agency, then you might get if it's a lot of money, I'm not exactly sure how it works, but you get that compensatory pick. So maybe you put him on some restricted list and keep him around, keep him on your roster.
Yeah, he's not going to get cut.
But I would do anything I could to keep him away from the team. I really think it's that important from a bowl standpoint. You mentioned Godwin. To me, he looked more healthy, and I think that neck injury probably bothered him more than anything. But I also thought Canales used him correctly. And 12 targets, 10 catches. I think 4 of those targets were screen passes that were effective and moved the running game from the inside to the outside, so to speak. So I thought Canales used Godwin terrifically well, used all the weapons really, really well. Your thoughts on the game he called?
Again, I mean, I said it was Baker's best game. I think this was Dave Canales' best game as well. I mean, outside of 1 3-and-out and the turnover early in the game, the Bucs put points on the board every single drive that they had. So that's a huge credit to Dave Canales, who was still learning on the fly. And I think what was really important too is the Bucs kept the Packers at length. And there were times they would get that 2-possession lead, and then the defense would allow a touchdown. Oh, Packers got some momentum. They're right back in it. But nope. The Bucs offense came out and scored again right away. So Dave Canales, and he talked about this earlier, so maybe we should have seen it coming, but he said, I'm not going to put everything on tape for our opponents to see. I'm going to use more as we get into December and crunch time and the playoff push. And he was doing a couple of different things, whether it was even having like Chase Edmonds line up to the outside or lining up Rachaad White as a wide receiver, getting Cade Otton involved a little bit more, but of course, Chris Godwin as well. Using him over the middle in the slot, which we've asked for multiple times. Using him on third down. Using the intermediate passing game versus just, I get it, we want to take the big shots down the field. Baker didn't really have to wind up for a big one. The only time he did was when the ball got knocked away out of his hands. So I think that little adjustment in the passing game of just making sure the ball's out of your hand and you're heading up the field made all the difference in the world in this game. And of course, when the run game is functioning, and it wasn't the best running game by the Bucs, but when you got that run game cooking, at least over the past couple of weeks, it opens up everything for this team. And Dave Canales, I hope this is the beginning of him really, truly finding a groove, because At the beginning of the year, it was the Bucs defense that was keeping them in games. Now it's completely switched. It's the Bucs offense, where if they're going to continue to win games, it's going to be because of this offense. So he deserves a ton of credit for this build up and this turnaround of the Bucs offense.
Yeah, and I think also just I think a shout out to the uber aggressiveness of Todd Bowles on that fourth down, and just overall his coaching. And I don't know if it's because you're 4-7 and you wake up one morning and you're like, you know what, we really got to do some different stuff.
Yeah,
this is not working. I got to be different in the way I call games. I got to be more aggressive. I don't know what it is, but I'll give him credit. I think he saved his job. Now there's a long way to go. You lose, the 2 out of the next 3, and we'll be talking about something else. But I think at least he's put himself back in that discussion of retaining his job, which I didn't think was possible this year.
I didn't think it was either. But again, the biggest thing was that he kept the locker room close, and right now it's still in limbo. The rest of the season will dictate, because if they win out and they're on a 6-game winning streak to finish the season, even if they lose in that first playoff game, it's really going to be tough to be like, hey, I know you just won 6 in a row and you played a great team, but you're fired. Right. But on the flip side, if they go 8-9 and still make it, that doesn't guarantee he's going to be here next season. So the story will write itself, which is nice enough. We can make all of our predictions, but ultimately it'll come down to wins and losses down the stretch of this season.
All right, Matty, great stuff as always, my friend. I want to tell everybody what's coming up on Pewter Report this week.
Yeah, another Victory Monday, 3 in a row on the Pewter Report podcast on at 4:00 today on our YouTube channel. JP was nice enough to join us last week, and we had a great time. So yeah, just follow Pewter Report and my social media, Matty4_Matera, and we'll keep it rolling with all the Bucs content.
All right, partner, great stuff. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Go Bucs. All right, we'll take another break. We'll come back on the other side. I want to talk a little Florida State football, some incredible volleyball that was happened at Amalie Arena this weekend in huge crowds. That was very impressive. And we'll talk more about the NFL, some Rays chat as well. I know Nick wants to get in on his blockbuster trade that has brought the Rays 2 incredible players. Wow. Did we get 2 All-Stars? Yeah. I'm everything I'm reading, it's like they got 2 All-Stars. We are brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Our good friend over there, Chris Lugo, keeping everyone healthy and losing weight and getting their testosterone right. If you would like some cutting-edge thought in medicine and a doctor that'll spend more than 15 minutes with you, by all means, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Stay with us. Quick break. Tired of those stuffy, overpriced sports bars? But come join the fun at the Patio in South Tampa and watch your favorite football teams under the stars in a tropical paradise. It's a unique setting with huge wood decks beneath the trees, and don't worry, they have an inside AC bar with all your favorite bar games as well. The Patio has all the NFL and UFC sports packages. It's home to the Tampa Gator Club and the Bills Mafia, but all fans are welcome. Hey, my FSU buddies love to watch the Noles at the Patio. It's also home to a great happy hour weekdays. $5 White Claw vodka and $5 White Claw seltzers. $1 off all beer and wine from 3 to 7:30 off their already low prices. And every Friday happy hour, join us for Football Friday. It's our live broadcast from 5 to 7 o'clock with tons of specials. The fan mic for you to join the show. We'll have some swag and some ticket giveaways and more. So come out for the live broadcast 5 to 7 every Friday at the Patio and come watch football in a tropical paradise. 421 South McDill, just a few blocks south of Kennedy. Everyone meets at the Patio. JP here from my friends at your local Synovus Bank, and I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta, big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation. And that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a Get Acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to synovus.com to find out where your local branch is. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or try to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's Geddes Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. The holidays are engagement season. Where better than the Gold and Diamond Source to get that special ring? Of course, the customer service is impeccable. Julie and Steve Weintraub are the best of the best. And only natural diamonds, of course. It takes billions of years to form natural diamonds. You don't want something that was made in a factory 2 weeks ago. She certainly doesn't. And why deal with the mall madness when just one trip to the Gold and Diamond Source gets you all you need? None of the parking hassles, no nothing. The Gold and Diamond Source has the perfect gift for everyone. And don't forget to shop the Emily from Emily Johnson Weintraub, which is an affordable gold and diamond jewelry collection. It's always stylish and unique, and Emily has created this fashion-forward gold, diamond, and gemstone jewelry line ideal for everyday wear. Each piece is designed to enhance your look by featuring eye-catching modern geometrical shapes. And don't forget, for the holidays, only 3 to 5 year interest-free financing. And don't forget, for the holidays only, 3 to 5 year interest-free financing. So this holiday season, keep it local and make sure it's a Gold and Diamond Source diamond, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Well, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this Victory Monday as the Bucs get a big 34-20 win now in the driver's seat to win the NFC South with the game against Jacksonville coming up with a concussed Trevor Lawrence in the concussion protocol as of this morning. Never left the game, but not sure when he got concussed, but he was in concussion protocol after they get their ass beat by the Ravens last night. And now and then they'll have the Saints here and finish up at Carolina, the suddenly red-hot Carolina Panthers. But we've got a couple other things we want to get to, and I'll give you the floor here, Nick Geddes, on the Tyler Glasnow trade. We talked a little bit about this last week, but I'm not overwhelmed at what they got back. I knew it wouldn't be a huge haul just because of his salary, and this was a salary dump. But a guy that's a reformed switch hitter and a pitcher who I'm not going to say is certainly not a top of the rotation pitcher and doesn't have the potential to be a top of the rotation pitcher. A good pitcher, yes. For an all-star, top of the rotation guy you want starting a playoff series type guy, Manuel Margot obviously was a salary dump. Nobody's going to miss him. But, and here's the thing, unless you take that $35 million and add it to the payroll, not 70, not 80, but add it to the payroll and go get some bona fide players, it's a shit deal. That's my take. Your take.
I'm just not surprised that that's your take. That's it. This was a good deal. I mean, listen, it's pretty simple. I talked about it on Friday. Tyler Glasnow is making $25 million this year. Even you said it when that was signed. Okay, he ain't pitching for the Rays in 2024.
Doesn't make it right.
And so you shouldn't be surprised, but I went through the reasons why I thought it was a good deal. I mean, number one, Tyler Glasnow has a lengthy injury history. He's only pitched more than 14 times in a single season once. And that was this past year when he was still hurt multiple times, okay?
Noted.
In the postseason, he's given you 10 starts. You know what his ERA is? It's 5.12. You want to know?
Been better. Have they not? No, they've been.
Let's not act like he was fantastic in the wild card game. Come on. He didn't get any help, but still, it wasn't great.
How many runs they score?
Top-of-the-line guy.
How many runs they score for him?
0. He's also 30 years old, JP. He's not like he's in the middle of his prime. Oh, and he's a free agent next year, and the Dodgers just gave him 5 years, $137.5 million. That deal, if the Rays had given Tyler Glasnow that deal, I would have been saying that's the worst deal the Rays have ever handed out, regardless of the fact that it's a big money deal. It just doesn't make sense for him. Like Tyler Glasnow.
Well, you don't know if he wins 2 Cy Youngs and they win another World Series.
He's not staying healthy. He's not staying. I'm going off of the 6.5 years prior to his career. He's never stayed healthy. And I'm the guy, by the way, that told you that at his peak, his absolute apex, and we saw it at times this year, I think he's better than McClanahan at his peak. Okay, I think he's nastier. I truly feel that way. But the problem is he is a gigantic risk. He is a talented risk that the Rays, as structured, were not prepared to take on, and they decided it wasn't worth it.
What was that word, Georgie? As structured. Okay, what does that mean, Nick? What does as structured mean to you, Nick?
The Dodgers are prepared to take on and pay him whatever they want. Clearly, they've set that precedent before. Right. That just would not be a smart deal for the Rays. And I don't even care if the Rays were spending.
Why? Because we have to make $100 million in profit every year. Is that money going in your pocket or mine?
JP, even if the Rays were spending $150 million on payroll, okay, even if they were spending that,
which they're not going to,
still wouldn't want them to sign Tyler Glasnow to some long-term deal like that. I still wouldn't do it. So at that point, I understand all the things you're saying, but if it's not my money, and if you're the Dodgers, who cares? You know, you can have that attitude. The Rays will never have that attitude.
Well, and I'm not saying that, and again, I'm not saying we have to spend $300 million on payroll, but if you're not committing that $36 million to more players, to adding to your roster, then what is the effing point of giving away top-end talent? Because you don't know if Tyler Glasnow is going to go on a run. You don't. And if he does go on a run and he goes and he pitches, 3 out of those 5 years, he's a top of the rotation guy. Here's the bottom line. Are you a better team now than you were I'm not talking about money. Not talking about money because you haven't spent $1 of it. And the chances are, as structured, you're not going to spend $1 of that money that you saved. It's going to go right into Stu's pocket. So I don't give a shit whether he's got an injury history or not.
Here's the thing. They're always
answer this question, Ned. Answer this question. Are you a better baseball team today with those 2 slapdick prospects than you were with Tyler Glasnow, man?
First of all, they're not slapdick prospects. Let's get that out there.
We'll see.
You're just throwing Ryan Pepio to the side.
Are they a better team with Ryan Pepio and whatever the hell the guy's name is, a guy who used to be a switch hitter who's done nothing of note in the major leagues? By the way, nothing. Are you a better team now than you were with a healthy Tyler Glasnow?
I feel like we've said this before though about other deals, and they've been a better team after.
I asked you a question. Are they a better baseball team? You trotted this team out today. Are they better starting Tyler Glasnow or Ryan Pepio?
Tyler Glasnow.
Thank you.
But that's not the only factor here.
So it's about money, and it ain't your money. And all this does, here's the thing. It's the same vicious cycle. You give away great players and you save money. Everybody goes, oh, I'm glad we didn't pay Tyler Glasnow. And then what do? You still have a $70 million payroll. The money doesn't go. You don't go pay Charlie Morton. You don't take another year of Blake Snell. You just give away your good players because you want to make money.
Listen, I put that caveat on there on Friday. That, okay, you've opened up $35 million in money now. So now my logic is telling me you're going to go use that and spend it elsewhere and maybe get some more beef in the lineup and maybe this, whatever. That's what I've been looking at here. So that still remains to be seen. I'm just saying I don't feel the way about this deal like I did about the Blake Snell deal in 2020. I think they're two completely different things. I don't feel the same way about
the Blake Snell deal was better because some of those players had a lot of, they got 5 players and they had
I've actually
real
seen
high
these
end, but none of them turned out to be anything.
I've actually seen these players play in the big leagues, and I went through Ryan Pepio's numbers, and if you dive into him, I mean, this is a guy who's a Rays dream. He just is. Like he hits the zone at a really high rate, kind of like Eflin does. He doesn't walk guys. He's got
What's
a
his
nasty
injury history,
changeup.
by the way? Oblique strain.
Okay.
Last year.
Not like he has 2 Tommy John surgeries.
No, that's on the downside because now they're coming.
I mean, the Rays, and by the way,
he's a Rays pitcher. You haven't had one yet. Well, that's coming.
The Rays are always going to pitch well. You know this. We all know this. Last year, they endured not having 4 of their 5 guys in their rotation. They still pitched good. They found other usage, and they still found a way to win 100 games. Yes, I've said that it didn't matter in the end because in the postseason, they were awful at hitting. That's the part that I need them to address. I don't worry about what the Rays are going to do in the pitching department. I just don't. They still have an excess of arms. DeLuca is basically a more upside Margot who plays an elite field, an elite center field, by the way. You can see that there. I think he's
whoa. He's not an elite center fielder. Not the scouting report that I heard. I said he's below average center fielder, but okay enough to be a corner outfielder.
He's made some good plays in center.
Some good plays. Okay,
and he's got better upside at the plate than Margot.
Scouting okay, I'll give you that. But the scouting report said that he was a below average center fielder but decent enough to play the corners. So it doesn't help you in center field.
I mean, Siri's going to play center anyway.
I know, but if Siri gets hurt, which of course he does, then you need somebody that's better than above average. If you're going to give away a top end.
I'll tell you where I'm at, JP. I think this is where we differ. I don't disagree with any of the points you're saying necessarily. I have just reached the acceptance phase that this is the way the Rays are going to play ball.
Yes. Okay.
And I'm going to try to analyze these moves the best way that I can from their point of view, and I'm going to try to see some good in it because. But listen, we did this about Meadows and Paredes 2 years ago. We said all these things. The same things you said, I was saying. I was right there with you. The Rays don't look like they want to win championships if they're trading Austin Meadows. And I would do that trades 100 times over now.
Of course you would.
Okay?
But not the Blake Snell trade.
No, I'm always
they hit.
hate
There's
the Blake
hits and
Snell
misses.
Trade. I'm going to hate
bottom
the Blake
line
Snell
is
trade. I'm going to hate the Charlie Morton, but they have also hit on some of these trades. And I'm just saying, what was the point of keeping Glasnow for one more year and then losing him for nothing in free agency?
No, I get that. I would have liked to get a little bit more back, to be honest with you, at least a better starter.
Because of everything else I just said,
I'd rather have
return?
I'd rather have almost a triple A or a double A guy that has high end, high ceiling potential than a guy like Pepio who's never going to be more than a 3, probably 3 and maybe a 2.5.
He could be a 2. That's nothing bad with that.
No, I mean, but you don't win with 2.5s in postseason. You don't. You got to have 1s.
Well, the Rays have 1s. They're all just hurt right now.
True that. James says Braves prove they will never spend big dollars by not picking up $50 million option for Charlie Morton. Even with Glass now healthy, he was never going to see that 20. Not from the Rays, but he'll see it from other teams that actually want to win the World Series. Eric Cecil says the Rays like to plan for the future and never go all in when they have the players when they're close. Incredibly frustrating. I hear you, brother.
Can I make the argument, though, that they don't have the players for this year to go all in?
Yeah, because they keep giving them away, bro.
I just told you. You're talking to me about you need 1s to win in the postseason.
Yeah.
Well, they have 3 1s that are all sitting on the shelf for 1 for all of the season, 1 for most of the season, and 1 for half the season.
Well, then all the more reason to keep the one you had, and maybe trade him at the deadline, but we'll see.
He ain't going to stay healthy. He'll join them on the list.
Next man up says Recon Scout. Good riddance. Good riddance to good pitchers. We want prospects. David Price trade still kills me. Yeah, me too.
Are you kidding me? That Price trade worked out.
Do you guys just see the Skip Bayless segment where they talked about Devin White? No, I did not. Fill us in, Dud. He's still delusional. Think he's good enough to be a starter. This is a monster Bowles created. Can't leave soon enough. I agree. And it's killed you. It's killed you on so many levels, and especially for Todd. It just, no good. All right. The exodus at FSU has started now as Trey Benson has also decided to head into the NFL draft, and Fabian Lovett as well. So these guys are not going to play in the Orange Bowl coming up. Also, I haven't seen Georgia's list of defections. I saw all the guys they lost to the portal, which was amazing. 15 guys into the portal. But yeah, college football right now is very, very interesting. And I thought it was interesting. There was a article in the Times. They asked, I think Matt Baker got Charlie Baker, who is the new NCAA president, former governor of Massachusetts, I believe, and asked him about the snub of FSU, and he politely declined and basically said not going to say anything about it. It's not our deal. It's because it's not. It's college. People have to understand the college football playoff is directed by and a creation of ESPN. They run the whole damn thing, and the lack of transparency is disgusting. And even though last week Bill Hancock basically told Rick Scott to go screw himself with all his requests for documents, he's not going to be able to say the same thing to Ashley Moody because she actually has subpoena power, who's the attorney general. And they will have to get some type of compliance from ESPN and not the NCAA, but the ESPN and the SEC and the ACC, which I thought was very interesting, asking for all those correspondence. So it's not going to change this year, but if it does show that there was some collusion involved, I think it's certainly going to give FSU pretty much a free out in their grant of rights with ESPN, what they're trying to hold them to. And I think in the end, it might end up helping FSU, because if they can get out of these grant of rights and they're shown that ESPN colluded in this particular case, which I think is their end game anyway, then they can get out, go to the Big Ten where they want to be, and make $40 million more, on par with the SEC, who was trying to clearly hold them down. So yeah, this could actually end up being something interesting. But I thought the fact that Baker declined to support the college football playoff and also mentioned that transparency is an issue here, I thought was important. I don't know if you caught any of that.
I mean, I saw the lawsuit thing, which I'm still on the fence of how I feel about politicians getting involved in this type of stuff. I like the two to remain separate more often than not. I wonder if there was another way than, investing money into all this kind of stuff. But
whatever. Well, I don't think there's going to be a huge investment by the state of Florida. I think the threat of a lawsuit and the threat of civil proceedings and the threat of these things is probably going to be enough.
What I was going to say, though, is I read the letter that Hancock sent back to Rick Scott, and I just thought it was a bold-faced lie about, we don't ever use the word Power Five, and then he uses, a so-called Power Five. I think you read between the lines, he's basically saying we don't recognize the ACC as a Power Five, which is interesting because I don't remember all this talk happening when Clemson was winning national championships under this same format not too long ago. But all of a sudden, the ACC has been looked down upon.
It's because of what Florida State tried to do, and it would have taken hundreds of millions of dollars out of ESPN's pocket, and ESPN didn't like that, and they were going to teach Florida State a lesson on who's boss, and that's exactly what they did. And if there is actual discovery in this case, and we do actually get notes from production meeting notes, which I think they do exist. So if they don't produce them, that's going to be an issue. Text messages, all these things are fair game. And I typically would agree with you. I don't want politicians involved in this crap. But if you're going to pull shit like this, you're going to be discovered. Yeah. You should.
I just hate college football. To me, the last 2-3 weeks is just
it's awful.
It's disgusted me, and it has everything to do with the lack of structure and leadership at the top.
Yes.
And again, the simple solution to a lot of these problems, not really the on the field stuff, but just the off the field stuff. I mean, the schedule is so ridiculous of what's going on right here, and it's making the bowl games mean literal squat. Squat that the bowl game, like Georgia and Florida State, sounds big, right?
Yeah.
And it's just kind of a footnote because of the schedule that is around it. High school recruiting. I mean, what's the incentive to go all out and recruit 5-star athletes and get them on campus and all that stuff? When in a year or two, they're just going to be in the portal anyway. Exactly. And somebody's going to take them. And listen, Florida State benefited from that more than anybody, clearly.
That's right.
So there's two sides to every coin here. But the way that's going on, I mean, you have the backup quarterback for Texas, Malik Murphy. This guy's going to be playing in the college football playoff. Oh, wait, no, he's not, because he has to transfer out anyway because he's not the future at Texas because Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning. very talented quarterback. He's the backup. Guess what? Now he has to leave the program to go enter the portal because he's got to get a job somewhere.
That's
And
right.
if he waits till after the playoff, it's probably going to be too late. Money's not going to be there.
That's
I
right.
hate that move. I don't
It's
blame
awful.
Malik Murphy. I
Awful.
blame the system. And now Texas, guess what? They're a play away from having to play true freshman Arch Manning in a playoff game. How's that good for anybody?
It's a disaster. And this college football playoff and the structure of it and the corruption involved is a huge problem. Why ESPN is based in the SEC, by the way. ESPN and the SEC are running college football. And if you think the SEC has any feeling of fairness towards Florida State or Clemson or anybody outside the SEC, you're out of your mind. And they'll do anything to keep their power and their teams in the playoff. Duh. So it's not, and this is why I would have loved to have seen Florida State play the AP card. And they still can play the AP card. You know, even they're not going to have their full complement of players. I get it. It's not going to be their best team, not even close. And they may lose to Georgia now, but I would have loved to have seen them, everybody play and go out and kick their ass and have the AP decide who the national champion is.
You can't blame the players. I mean, they did their
No,
job.
you cannot.
They won all their games.
I'm not blaming the players.
And they didn't get rewarded for it. I know. I'm just saying for anybody out
there.
The
system is a freaking disaster.
The system just sucks.
And it's because of the lack of leadership at the top
and it's annoying because
and the greedy people at the top.
It's not just fans saying it. It's not the people who cover the games or cover the sport that are saying it. It's the coaches themselves. They all know it sucks.
Yes.
But nobody's listening. Nobody is listening. You want to know why?
Nobody
because
can
they're
do
just
anything
doing
about
this.
it.
They're just doing this and collecting it. So nobody cares.
And here's the thing. You know what? Nobody wants to say anything about it because you know what happens? If you go against ESPN, you get the treatment of Florida State. Nobody wants that. They're not going to step out of line. Paul Feinbaum said, you renegades at Florida State, you stepped out of line. You got in the way of our ESPN money machine, and you tried to take money out of our pockets just because you wanted to get a fair shake and do what was best for your program. You want to see who's boss? Watch this.
And speaking of that, can we clear up this misnarrative? And I feel like we talked about this with Drew Weatherford at the beginning of the year, by the way, when they were doing all these meetings.
Yeah.
They try to get out of the grant of rights and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people are trying to say that, see, FSU's trying to leave their conference because they know it's inferior from a talent and this and that. Correct me if I'm wrong, JP, but it's simple from a dollars and cents standpoint that for the next 10 years, the ACC teams are going to generate $30 million less than the teams in the SEC, and the teams in the SEC, the teams in the Big Ten, and the teams in the Big 12, because the ACC is structured the way that it is with this grant.
Because they signed a horrible deal that was full of fraudulent projections of revenue.
So
by who? ESPN.
And so if you do the math by 10 years, and I believe Drew Weatherford painted this all out for us.
Yeah.
That's $300 million more that these other teams are going to get than you, and under the current structure of college football, you will get left behind in the dust. Yeah. Maybe I'm off here. I don't think FSU is necessarily wanting to leave the ACC. They're kind of forced that if they want to compete for national championships, they kind of have to.
Wake Forest doesn't care about that. They don't care. They're never going to contend for a national championship.
I don't think it has anything to do with from a competition standpoint. You think Florida State would willingly like to play the schedule that Florida's about to play this year? You think they want to play that?
Hell no. And by the way, it's okay for the SEC to improve their lot and go get Texas and Oklahoma. But if FSU tries to improve their lot, and when they're at a ridiculous competitive disadvantage because of the SEC and ESPN and the deal that was forced upon them, but if they try to improve themselves, they're going to get punished by a political hit job in a college football playoff committee? No, there's nothing right about that. Whether you're an FSU fan or a fan of any other team, there is nothing right about that. Nothing. All right, quick break. We'll come back. We'll hit some of the other topics that we mentioned. We're brought to you by the great folks at the Geddes Gordon Group Real Estate. If you want to invest in real estate or find a new home or sell your home, Jane Geddes is the one. Nobody like Jane. Go to GeddesGordonGroup.com and find out more. Back in 3. Stay with us.
Sitting around the house. Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Gold and Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement cost, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. It will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
All right. Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad, was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595, or go to scott@amstampa.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on a Victory Monday as we celebrate the Bucs 3 in a row now. Boy, I did not see this coming. That's for damn sure. But a lot of changes have been made by Todd Bowles, and they have worked out tremendously well. I want to bring in our good friend Chris Lugo from Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Who?
Good morning, guys.
How are you? No, you've been out playing Army a little bit. We missed you a little bit here and there.
Do a little hunting, playing a little Army. 'Tis the season, right?
Right. Awesome. You're a hunter.
This morning.
You're a hunter.
Good to see you, Chris. Good to see you.
What do you hunt?
Deer mostly. Some hogs every now and then. They are a little bit of a nuisance animal though, but yeah, prefer deer.
I could shoot a hog. I don't know if I could shoot a deer.
Oh, you could.
I don't know. A cute little white tail.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Insurance companies don't like them so much. Beside the point.
Okay, then.
They cause a lot of car accidents. That's why. I mean,
do they really? Yeah. You know what?
Yeah. Look at the stats on that. There's a lot of car accidents that are caused by deer, especially in the fall season, when they're moving around a lot, when they're in rut, they can cause a lot of car accidents. That's why it's all about population control. Everyone thinks that hunting deer is cruel, but it's probably one of the most humane things out there, actually, because if they overpopulated, a lot of disease associated with them too when they get overpopulated.
Really?
Car accidents. Yeah. A few people in Texas got the highest deer population of 5 million, I believe, something like that.
Wow.
Pennsylvania, I think Pennsylvania's got almost 2 million, something like that. 1.8. Yeah, they got a huge population.
Speaking of population control, what's going on with this? flu vaccines now. We got
You
flu
call it a
vaccines.
It's not a vaccine. Come on, it's a shot. You know that. It's a quad variant.
They literally call it a vaccine.
I know.
Like,
I don't know why they do, but it's not. It's the quad variant, which just means they're guesstimating the strain of flu from 4 different places in the world. They're bringing them together and they're genetically engineering it to hopefully lessen the blow of you getting flu.
Which is going around, by the way.
I think they help for some populations. I think especially for the elderly population. I chose not to get it this year. I don't know if I have a great reason why not to getting it this year. It's that the unit that I'm in, that I'm in.
Yeah.
We don't push that agenda so much, so it's kind of a good thing.
That's good.
A couple of the hospitals I have hospital privileges at, they asked me to get the. I'm like, I chose not to get it this year, just personal reasons. Like, okay, thanks, and they let it go.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Now, is this vaccine? Is this also an mRNA thing?
No, it's not. It's different. It's usually made with eggs. So if you have an egg allergy, don't get it.
Okay.
But there's a couple different manufacturers out there, but the quad variant is the most popular one out there right now.
Yeah, that ran through the Lightning. I think had a big flu bug when they were out west. So I don't know. It's got to be tough to play a hockey game when you're battling the flu. That's for damn sure.
100%. I think getting the flu right now is probably getting worse than getting COVID at this point in time, just because the variant of COVID has kind of died down a little bit. I would say there's not much we can do for flu. And if you were exposed with someone by flu and you're starting to feel bad, not Paxlovid. Oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. There's a couple of different ones out there that work really well to kind of lessen the blow. But the guys that replenished were in the office here last week, bringing me a Christmas gift. Thank you, Steve. Get the Weekend in Vegas. They took Weekend in Vegas off their menu, by the way, but just ask for Weekend in Vegas. It's got everything that I love in an IV. It's going to make you feel better quicker.
Good, because I could probably use that right now. I got a little bit of congestion, but I have to ask you this question from a physiology question.
Oh,
so I just got off a boat.
Yes.
Just the cruise to hell, where we were sitting in 20-foot swells for 3 days.
Yeah.
And as I sit here right now, I'm doing this. I'm still on the boat, and I know I'm not, but I still feel that.
Equilibrium in the ear. That's what it's all about. It's just that motion that you were in for several days. Even a big boat like that, you'll find that you'll still have that motion artifact. It's like you go to the beach and you're out in the waterfall and you come back in, you feel the same way, or go on a small boat, you're going to feel the same way. It's all about inner ear.
Is there any way to get rid of it?
No, it'll pass. Your body you'll get used to it. Being on dry earth.
Yeah, thank God for Dramamine, though.
Yeah.
That stuff works, because I would not have that would not have gone well. Anything else going on in the medical world here that we're talking about? What's happening?
Can't think of anything that's pressing at this point in time. I think the big thing right now, we got the holidays here. It's going to be that mental clarity going on right now, that mental health issue going on right now. If my badass soldiers can open up about behavioral health, so can the lay person. Don't be afraid, especially when everyone gets a little stressed out during this time.
Yes.
Take time to yourself. There's a great little app called Insight Timer. As you know, I'm doing fellowship with integrative medicine with Dr. Andrew Wild, godfather of integrative medicine. We love the Insight Timer app. It's great.
I use it every night.
Yeah, so that's a good thing to do when you need to box breathing. We do in the military. Dr. Wild likes the 4-7-8 breathing. Just a little mindfulness, a little breathing technique, breath work, meditation. It's all the same thing. It's just got a different name to it, but it's all a variation of meditation. So take that time to yourself, decompress, take care of your mental health too this time of season.
What is the 4-7-8 breathing? What is that?
Oh, that's Dr. Wild's breathing. He got that from a guru when he was traveling in Asia, I believe. Don't hold me to that. But if you go to YouTube and you look in Dr. Andrew Weil, W-E-I-L, 4-7-8 breathing, it's a 4-second breath in, hold for 7 seconds, release for 8 seconds, and repeat. he will tell you do not do that breath work more than 4 to 6 cycles and then stop. Okay, but that's a good one. It's very similar to the box breathing 4 in.
So it'll just calm you down.
Calm
your
you
brain.
down. Brings down that heart rate, increases your heart rate variability. Win-win situation for everything.
Love that. All right. You got anything for him, Nick?
Yeah.
Diet. You want to talk about diet in the holidays?
Yes.
I haven't not passed that test so far, Chris. I'm on a bad trajectory there. But this is the one thing I deal with more than anything around this time of year is the allergies. And I always get told, oh, just take an allergy pill. Just take an allergy pill. I take allergy pills. I do it consistently. I don't see any change. And every time at night, I feel so just stuffed and clogged, and it's hard for me to get to sleep. What are some practical things other than just that little allergy pill that will try to help mitigate those?
Yeah, that's a great question, Nick. So like one of my sons has bad allergies. I put him on a recent protocol for some supplements, quercetin, NAC, N-acetylcysteine, vitamin D, things to boost your immune system is going to help those allergies, especially when you are congested. So look at getting some of those supplements. Anybody who wants my little, I call it allergy and autoimmune something. I think allergy something. I call it. I got a little Thorn that I can send people if you want. Just email me and I'll send you the link from Thorn. I'll give you 25% off from the Thorn products, and then the little link for allergies. But it's a great thing. And look, it's not going to work immediately, but I guarantee in 4 to 6 weeks, it will definitely help relieve some of your allergy symptoms. And by the way, it's January coming up in a few weeks, right? So after that, come late January to March, oak trees start dropping pollen.
Yeah.
So this is a good time now to get on board with this allergy relief before the pollen from the oaks start dropping, because it's going to get even worse, Nick. But yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff, Chris. So they can
immune system.
And what's the best way to get in touch with you?
BAMMC, Bravo, Alpha, Mike, Charlie.com. Book your appointment right there. You don't need to call the office. You can do it on Friday night at 10 o'clock at night if you're bored, or on the weekends. That's the best way. Or if you want to call, 844-789-2266.
All right, Chris, thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you next week. I want to learn more about that breathing stuff. Absolutely.
There you
All right. Appreciate
Have a
it.
great week, guys. Talk to you later.
BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Hey, Buck's Basement jumped in here and was talking about Richard Sherman. Skip Bayless were talking about Devin White this morning. He said Richard Sherman was talking about how Bowles said they would rotate him and Britt, and Devin did not like that and said he's not a rotational player. Can you imagine that conversation? After how that man has stood at the podium and defended Devin White time and time again, and you put that back at that man, you're a better man than me, Todd Bowles, because I would have lost my
Devin's got a lot of growing up to do, clearly.
He's still delusional to think he's good enough to be a starter. This is a monster Bowles created. He can't leave soon enough. I mean,
it'll happen.
Unbelievable.
He made it easy on the Bucs. Let's put it that. He made it very easy on the Bucs to say no. So.
But again, it's like, I know we don't know what goes on behind the scenes and all that stuff, but I mean, it really seems like the people in the media, we talk about so many things on this show and that are obvious to fans and people out there that just take so long for Todd Bowles to do, man. And, again, I'm a big fan, and I hope this all works out, and I hope they win 3 in a row. I hope they win a playoff game. Who knows where this can go? The way the team played yesterday and the way they've played, I'm not going to be a prisoner of the moment, though. It's a bad defense they played yesterday, but Baker let it rip. And if David Moore's not the number 3 receiver moving forward, then what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? And why did it take so long? Aaron, I mean, on and on and on. So let's, I'm not going to be, and somebody mentioned, did you see the hug the Glazers gave Todd Bowles? That means he's coming back. Really? I mean, that's great. Everybody's happy after a win. It's a big win. He coached his ass off. Excuse me. He's going to continue to coach like that. If he is, okay, great. We've been begging for it forever. Be aggressive. Stop being such a wussy when it comes to some of these decisions that need to be made. Make the decision, make the hard calls, hold people accountable. That's all we've ever asked for. And you're going to have a lot more success as a coach. And yesterday was proof freaking positive. All right. So, All right, great job, Nick Geddes. Thank you all. We had big numbers today. Thank you guys for jumping in. We do it each and every day, Monday through Friday, 10 to 12. We're hopefully soon going to be on 102.5 HD2, The Strike, and also on Instagram. Instagram is now giving us a platform to do our live show, so we'll be doing that as well. We appreciate you guys jumping on. Please like and follow us on Apple and Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, and our YouTube channel as well. Have a great day, everybody. See you tomorrow.